Journalist and author Caitlin Moran gets to interview her comedy hero Jennifer Saunders in the final episode in this series of Chain Reaction.
Hello, this is Chain Reaction on Radio 4. I am Caitlin Moran, and this week's guest is the BAFTA, Emmy, Rose d'Or and British Comedy Award-winning comedian, actress and screenwriter. A woman so inherently amusing that, had she been born 1 million years ago as a germ or a lizard, she still would have invented comedy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the goddess that is Jennifer Saunders.
That's very nice.
So lovely to see you here.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here. Nice to be asked by you, especially.
Oh, well, thank you. It's lovely to have you here. I feel affirmed as a human being. Basically, I asked Jennifer out on a blind date on the radio, and she said yes. This is my dream came true. So, can you first of all describe what you're wearing to everybody who's at home?
Oh, I'm wearing a sort of baggy dress, a baggy black dress with some. Thank you.
Someone likes baggy out there.
Leggings, a small leather jacket over the top, and some shoes I bought this afternoon that I'm wearing in for a wedding on Saturday. There's a colour mix. One's been on display. It's been fingered. And, but I got a discount. I got £50 off. That's how expensive the shoes were.
And could you, for the people at home who can't see you, describe your expression to us as well, please?
My expression?
Yes.
It's one... my expression. It's a kind of... I think I'm smiling, but I'm quite nervous, so I'm not quite smiling. It's a nervous kind of smile.
Is it a slightly tense Mona Lisa?
Tense, yes. But I am actually smiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, your eyes are warm and friendly. I mean, you always look to me very regal. There's an air of regality about you.
I think that's generally shyness or something like that. Reserve. Or pure hatred. I don't know which one.
So tell us what you've been doing today before you came here, obviously apart from buying shoes.
I've had a great day today.
Yes.
Because my daughters came over to the house and we all had hair and nails.
Did you not have any before? What's this?
We were all bald. I actually don't have any nails, but these are all stuck-on nails. For BAFTA.
Yes, well, this is what I was going to say. You received a BAFTA for being a special comedy lady in comedy. Yes.
Thank you so much.
She's got awards. Yeah. So how do you approach your average award ceremony? Because you've done a lot now. I mean, they're quite a normal thing for you now, aren't they?
I'm not fond, I have to say. I hate it. Endless interviews and stuff, and then you get very, very drunk. Yes. I love interviews, though. I'm very fond of interviews, but not with intelligent people you see on a BAFTA carpet.
They wouldn't be asking you if you bought shoes this morning, and yes,
no, and whose shoes
have done intelligent questions. I feel it's been very different to BAFTA. But
I hate all that kind of gubbins that goes with it. It used to be that you used to go along to a hotel and have a lovely meal and get utterly arseholed. And then someone would stand up and go, everybody, they've got some awards. And we go, oh! And people would go up and get their BAFTAs, you know, and go, oh, cheers, thanks. Hey. You know. And it was so much fun. And now it's all controlled by the cameras and all controlled by the press and the PR and everything. And it just isn't as much fun.
Was it more fun being famous 20 years ago than it is now? Could you get away with more?
Oh, I think so. I think it was, yeah. Because you didn't have all this press. You didn't have all the magazines. I mean, there wasn't even Hello magazine. Can you imagine a world? Can you imagine that world? But there was none of that stuff. You never felt you were being watched or you had to be a certain way.
Well, no camera phones, so I mean, no members of the public could dob you in or go on Twitter. I see so-and-so.
I love that thing they do. People on trains.
Sorry. Maybe someone there's laughing the irony about the fact that I'm on Twitter all the time going, I'm sitting next to Gary Oldman in the cinema.
No, I love that when people pretend to be reading a text, holding the camera near your face.
always, when I used to watch you on TV, I totally idolised you, and I used to imagine you going out on the town. I mean, this is the imaginary world that I had of what London would be like at the time. You and Dawn going out on the town with Bananarama and probably also Kirsty MacColl, and just having the best times of your life. I mean, were you actually doing that? Please tell me you were.
It absolutely happened. I have to say, the nights with Bananarama were some of the best nights of my life. I got a lot of gags from Bananarama because they were big vodka drinkers. Big vodka drinkers. Dawn and I were very unprofessional. We had no... We said, well, I'll have a white wine. And, no, all right, I'll have a vodka. Yeah, I'll have a vodka. I'll have vodka. Yeah, vodka. And it was... when I started doing Ab Fab, I remember all the falls that I saw Bananarama do. I once saw one of them coming out of a cab, bottom first, and hitting the road, and I thought, that's class. That is class. They were great. They were such good fun.
Oh, this is literally the happiest thing. This is the happiest thing that's happened to me all year, because I just imagined it, but it was really happening at the time.
Oh yeah, we had good time.
There was that story about Bananarama, wasn't there? When after they'd done Robert De Niro's Waiting, apparently they bumped into him in a nightclub, and someone introduced them and went, "This is Bananarama. They've just sung a song about you called Robert De Niro's Waiting, talking Italian." And I can't remember which Bananarama it was. Maybe the banana in the middle, who was just instantly sick all over his feet.
They were good. They were good fun.
So what was your motivation for doing it? Why did you want to? It's a lot of effort, isn't it?
Well, is it though? Really? It's quite a nice way to make a living. Dawn and I did it just for ourselves initially, and we just used to make ourselves howl with laughter, give ourselves dares, you know. Walk up the street looking like that. And we used to pretend to be punks and like have tampons hanging from our ears, and like go and try and scare people on the tube by just staring at them hard. It was just pointless. Then we just wet ourselves laughing, and then we started to get a little act together. We wrote a sketch for the college cabaret, because Dawn was more motivated by pure hatred.
Really?
She wanted to prove to the actors on the course that because we were training as teachers,
yes,
that we could do it as well. But we only did it at college then, and it wasn't until I saw an advert in the stage, comedy acts wanted for the comic strip, as it was in Soho, and I rang Dawn up, and she was teaching then, she had a job, and said, let's go for it. And after that, it just felt like it just sort of went on a roll, and we just kept doing it. And it's the greatest joy to sit in a room with someone who just makes you laugh so hard. It's just heaven.
I was reading about the early days of the comic strip that various celebrities would turn up and come and watch. Dustin Hoffman, Jack Nicholson, and Robin Williams was in the audience once and joined you on stage.
Yeah, he'd be sitting there with a few Japanese tourists who thought they were seeing a completely different act because it was Raymond's Revue Bar. So there was a few theatres that had sex shows on, and there was the comic strip. And it was quite easy to get confused. But it was a seedy little theatre, you know. And I remember being utterly starstruck. I remember he sweated a lot, and his T-shirt was absolutely sopping wet. And I had a spare T-shirt that I gave to him. Oh. And so Robin Williams wore my T-shirt and then had it dry cleaned and sent back to me.
Wow.
I was totally in awe.
You wouldn't expect those kind of manners and indeed levels of housekeeping from someone with a massive cocaine addiction.
He might have had people. I think he had people.
So, tell me, I mean, after the first comic strip went out, did you feel famous the next day?
Not really, no. I don't remember thinking that. I think because we were such a little self-contained, happy little gang, and it felt a lot like family doing the comic strip, because we all knew each other so well.
And you all married each other like ABBA.
We all married each other. And,
it's comedy ABBA.
But I don't think, no, we didn't really feel famous, because it felt quite, although it was opening night of Channel 4, it still felt slightly new, and I think new things took quite a while to sort of catch on.
There's never a day where you're told you are famous now, or how famous you are. Let's get some numbers on it. Out of 10, how famous do you think you are? Can I remind you, you were in Absolutely Fabulous and you're Jennifer Saunders? Just to put that in as a base.
All right, I think I'm about a 7.
I don't know, who else do you think's on a 7? I mean, I'd say Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen is probably on a 7. But yeah, no, I reckon you're more than a 7, love.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Good.
I'll do some research. So, Bono once described the nod. This is like kind of if you're a famous person and you go into a room with other famous people, that even though you've never met each other, you can just nod and go, yeah, saw you in the paper, we know each other, yeah. You've sort of spoken before about being quite shy and kind of quite different stuff. Do you feel you can acknowledge the nod? Do you see the nod, or
no,
your eyes down?
I'm old enough to acknowledge the nod now.
Yes.
It was really hard when you're younger, because you're just really kind of gauche and overexcited about seeing them and then not wanting to look like you really care.
Yeah.
So, there's so many things happening that you think, oh, no, I don't want to look at him. I don't care about him. I hate him. Is he even going to look over there? But now when you're older, you walk in and you go, oh, hello.
You acknowledge the nod.
Yeah, acknowledge the nod. That's a very good phrase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you start a nod? Have you started a nod? I mean, do you nod at younger people? Is it down to you now?
Well, often you walk into a room and you think you might have met them, so you have to do a nod.
Oh, right, OK.
But the biggest fear that you've actually insulted them as well, you see. And that used to be a big thing when we did French and Saunders, that you'd walk into a room and go, oh, look, there's... Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So I'm just trying to think of people that you did impressions of and stuff. I mean, did you ever bump into Bros?
We did bump into Bros once.
Really? How did that go?
Because when the programmes were all made at the BBC and the studios were always being used, we'd be doing a show, we'd be in rehearsing, and there'd be Top of the Pops would be on and stuff. So everyone was mixing all the time. You could always go into Top of the Pops studio and go, hello, Bros, we love you. And there was always that kind of feeling. And it felt creative to be in there. And we always used to go in and write in there because there were so many people around who could help you. The joy of walking into the BBC is knowing the programmes that have been made there. You know, you see pictures of Morecambe and Wise and all these other greats on the walls, and they worked from those offices.
And there were whole generations of kids who know the postcode, W12, 8QT, and it was the Citadel of Dreams, and that was where you would go. But it's that kind of, the mingling, everyone's there, aren't they?
Yeah, and it is, that makes everything much more creative. And I think new people coming in, there's a great sense of awe almost. And I think it's an absolute tragedy that building's going. I can't actually believe it. No,
it does seem to be a weird time for comedy, particularly at the BBC at the moment. I mean, is it harder to get stuff made now? Are you kind of...
Yeah, much harder. I think what's happening is I always used to think the BBC was great because the BBC was like a great curator of talent. And what's happening now is it's becoming a prescriber. And so the executives say, well, we need an 8 o'clock, we want that. Oh, we'd like it more like that, we'd like it a bit more this and that. So they're finding writers and going, yeah, that's all right, but what we really want is that, you know, rather than using the massive amount of talent that's out there and showing it off. They think they've got a better idea somehow.
So, let's talk about Absolutely Fabulous. At the point where that happens, you are the biggest thing in comedy, the biggest thing on TV, you're famous all around the world. But at that point, you are also a mum to 2 small children?
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, most other people at that point would go hog wild. You are kind of, you know, being flown around the world and stuff, you're winning all these awards and stuff, but you're kind of going home to the kids, presumably, or did you go hog wild? Did you park the kids for a while and go...
Well, there was a bit of both, really, because you get the chance to do a bit of both. Yeah, because once Ab Fab sort of became a hit, we were given lots of trips places, you know, we'd be flown to New York or this or that for little parties. I don't know why, but it was true.
Really? Did you literally go to New York for a party?
We were taken to New York for a party, an Ab Fab party that someone was holding.
Themed around Absolutely Fabulous.
Joe and I used to have a ball. We used to go there, look at the hotel room, and you know, and then always go to the bar, and then we just go out all night in a limo. It was really good fun.
But I suppose being famous for Absolutely Fabulous is great because if you are going to parties and getting hog-whimperingly drunk and falling out of taxis in the way that you had seen Bananarama do previously, people would just think you're being in character. They would. It's just kind of like it's just every
time we turn up anywhere, there'd just be champagne. Yeah, there's champagne for the ladies. We were honestly, wherever we went, there was that idea of champagne, and
that's a good idea.
So we're always having to look like we were drinking and having fun, and we were.
And did you feel your own sense of fashion slipping? I mean, was there a sort of a desire to dress a bit more neon orange? I mean, did they merge a bit?
I think actually I hadn't really got a sense of fashion until I did AbFab, because I used it as it was sort of a joke, really, you know. And it was only because the fashion world took it quite seriously that I got into lots of fashion-y things, you know, and meeting lots of fashion people and going to fashion shows and all that sort of thing, which was basically research. But there were also some very nice clothes.
Did you get lots of free stuff? That was what I was mainly thinking as you were saying that.
No, not free stuff.
Did they never give you free stuff?
No, you don't. I don't do free stuff. I'll tell you why. It's because if you do free stuff, you always have to be nice.
Yeah.
And if you buy it, you can be as horrible as you like about it. But if you get free stuff, there's always something.
Yes.
Because you can't do a satire and be given free stuff.
No.
It's kind of hard.
Would you? I mean, you had Stella McCartney on the show. If I had Stella McCartney on my show, if I had a show, I would, in some way, be trying to act in a way that would inspire her to create a handbag named after me. I've just kind of always wanted a handbag named after me, and I don't quite know how I would do that. I'd maybe kind of look like I needed more pockets or something. But I mean, did you try and do that? And would you like her to design a bag for you?
I didn't think about that. That wasn't on my radar. No, it would be nice, actually, to have a handbag. She does great handbags.
Yes. And if she did, I'm just going to keep hammering this, hoping she's listening and will be inspired to create a handbag for you. I'm going to try and gift that for you. That's going to be what I'm going to try and achieve for you by the end of this evening. Would you want it to be called the Jennifer or the Saunders?
The Saunders.
The Saunders.
Yeah, that's
like
better,
it.
Isn't it? The Jennifer's a bit wet. It's a bit, so it's got a sort of 50s feel to it. But the Saunders, it's got an edge.
Do you like your name, Jennifer? What do people call you? What does Adrian call you?
Do you know, I have no idea. Where's my daughter? My daughter's here, she'll know. Ella? Jennifer, he calls me Jennifer.
That's quite spooky that you don't know what he calls you.
Well, he probably says darling quite a lot, you see.
Oh.
Doesn't he? Probably... People call me Fur if they know me very well. And that came from my nickname, which is my Twitter name, Ferry Frump.
I was going to ask you about that. Why are you called Ferry Frump on Twitter?
Because my father always used to call me Ferry Frump and Frumalaka. And so I just... Because when I first went on Twitter, I just thought I'd go on for...
5 minutes. That's what everyone thinks.
Research purposes.
Yes. I'll just have a look and I'll be off.
No, I'll put my name out there. And then, of course, I got hooked.
Yes.
I said one thing, got a reply, and oh no, I'll just do it again. And now I try not to do it so much.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I put a picture of my dog, and I think, that's no good, really, is it? You know.
It's a very beautiful dog, though.
She's a delight.
At the moment, being a funny woman is big business. When you started, you'd invented it, obviously. But now other people have caught on and learnt that ladies can be funny. I mean, Bridesmaids done like $1 billion box office now.
I'm so pleased about that.
Well, you weren't kind of like, I could have had that.
No, I think that's great.
Yes.
And I think it's great that they got to make the film and people get to realise that that's actually what people want to go and see.
Yes.
And that women are the biggest cinema audience, older women especially, actually. And yet we get endless people running about with guns that I just don't get.
Yes, yes.
You can't smoke, but you're allowed to run around with a gun. That's what I don't get. But I was so pleased about Bridesmaid because I thought they were such strong comedy performers. And they're proper working comedians too, and I love that.
Yes. No.
I'd be very, very proud.
Well, the great thing as well, obviously, when a film's made that amount of money, just kind of other women will now be encouraged to do stuff as well.
You'd hope so, but I bet they won't be.
Don't you think?
No. They will feel encouraged.
Yes.
But I don't think the executives quite get it yet.
Well, you get asked really weird questions or told really weird things. There was one meeting a friend of mine was in recently, and she'd written a show, and they loved it, but they said, well, the problem is that we've got another women project at the moment, so we can't do it.
Oh, you see?
And you were like... What? 52% of the population are now going to be represented by one programme? Is that kind of... And that was it. They were like, in 3 years' time, come back. We might be able to do it then, kind of once we've got this stuff off our schedule. And you're like, that's weird.
No, it's still easier for boys.
It is. But the one thing I was thinking of, like, with a lot of funny women around at the moment, like Tina Fey, Kristen Wiig, who's done Bridesmaids and stuff, there's always a point where they get asked to do the kind of sexy, glamorous shoot. And kind of, again, that wasn't a pressure that you had at that point, kind of, you know, when you started off. I mean, have you ever had any bikini shots done? Has anyone ever done that?
Not even for myself.
Yes.
The mail online is a terrible thing, because you can get sucked in.
I was going to say... friends got it.
I hate this. Oh, look at that. Oh,
I know.
What's that about?
Yes. My friend's got it the sidebar of shame.
Yes.
Because you get pulled in, right? It's all the women having a terrible time.
You do get sucked
yes.
in. Yeah. There are just so many magazines now, and so much to fill. I'd ban them.
Yes.
Apart from the ones I like.
In the course of my research, I watched your appearance on the Roseanne show. It was
God, it was
yeah,
awful.
no, it looked
absolutely awful. Do you want to know the whole story?
Yes, I really do.
Oh, God. Roseanne said, you gotta come over. You gotta come over and do the episode. And she said what we'll do is
that...
just the... Am I going to do the accent? How are you? Yes, I will do it. Thank you.
I triggered a catchphrase, I'm so happy.
And she said, they did like a little thing just after the titles in their show where someone would come and sit at the bar or in her house. And she said, would we do that, you know? And we said, oh, yeah, that'd be fun. And then she said, would you do it as Patsy and Eddie? And we said, oh, that's not such fun. And then she said, no, it'll be really funny. And we went, oh, hell, free trip to LA. And so we decided, yes, we'd do it. We got out there, and we were staying in this hotel, and they said, oh, there'll be a script there for you. No script. No script arrived for like 3 days. And then we said, oh, what do you think there'll be? And then they said, no, what we'll do is we'll do a table read of the whole show. And you come along to that, and then you'll hear what your lines will be. And we're thinking, oh, this is a bit weird. So we went to this table read, and it was so bizarre. Because the script, they hadn't really written a script. It was a tiny, tiny amount of writing. And after most phrases, people sitting behind you would start clapping and laughing.
Oh my
go,
God.
oh, like that. And because they were timing, I think, no, there'll be a good gag in there. So even though the gags hadn't been written, they were timing the amount of laugh probably on the gag.
Oh, psychic ghost laughter, that's spooky.
Oh, it was absolutely bizarre. And Roseanne was pregnant and had decided that she was going to direct this show and be in it. But I couldn't act with her. I had to have a stand-in to say her lines during rehearsal because she was so neurotic. And she eventually ended up in a wheelchair, wheeling herself around the set, but not speaking to me.
Not speaking
to me, because I don't know why. She would not rehearse with me. A tiny little Asian woman was saying Roseanne's lines to me. Literally all the way through rehearsal. It was insane. And the only great thing was Laurie Metcalf was such a joy.
Yes.
And is such a brilliant actress. And she sort of just kept apologising, going, oh, she's not always like this. Oh, actually, she is always like this. She's crazy. It was just honestly the maddest time.
Yeah. Well, she was difficult to work with at that point. I mean, you would.
She'd had her bottom liposuctioned at that point.
Really?
Yes.
Could you tell? Did she tell you?
That's weird. I don't know if I shouldn't say it on the radio.
No, go on. They can't see.
But she didn't appear to have an arse crack. No, absolutely not. Because she'd had this dress on. Just have a look at it. They had this dress on that went really, really low, all the way down. And it was like a big open back, but they'd put a bit of gauze over it, you know. All open back, all the way right down. But right down to you go, where's the arse crack? There was no arse crack. It was honestly remarkable. So weird.
Totally smooth like a weeble all the way down. Yeah. I hope she's got one now.
I'm sure she has.
So was that the worst experience of your professional career?
A professional career, probably, yes. I think that's...
What was the worst experience of your non-professional career?
I haven't got a non-professional career.
The next thing that you could do career-wise would be to be offered a damehood. Would you accept?
Bloody a dame, comedy dame. Well, of course I'd accept it, because I think it would be hilarious. Dame. But I think when it comes to a double act, there was a bit sort of nervous of giving one to one and not the other, you see. So we'd have to be a double dame.
Oh, really?
We'd have to.
So if you were offered one but Dawn wasn't, would you nobly turn it down? If they were like, this is your only chance? We're never going to come back and ask you one again. Would you? Which is more important, the
Dawn
crown
would
or
turn
a
it
friend?
down.
Would she, for you?
No, she would turn it down.
Oh, right, full stop. Well, there you go. You can go for it then.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
She won't mind because she didn't want one.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I would. I would.
I'm going to do a quickfire round.
Okay.
I decided I was going to inject a quickfire round into this.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you very quickly, the last thing you bought?
These shoes?
Yes. Last time you were drunk?
Last night. It's true.
Where did you go?
I was out with a friend. We were actually working. And,
Like you were with Bananarama that time.
I was out with the producer of the musical I'm writing, and we had a couple of martinis.
Last time you called 999?
When my mother had a stroke about 2 years ago.
And were they efficient? Was that okay?
It was hilarious.
I felt bad then.
No, don't worry, don't worry. She found it hilarious that she couldn't get any of her normal words out. And so I phoned 999, and the air ambulance arrived, and it landed in her garden. Mm-hmm. And she kept saying, "Take a picture." She was being strapped to the stretcher and everything. "Take a picture." Are you filming this? Oh dear, it was funny.
And did you get a picture?
Yeah, I've got the whole thing on film.
You just mentioned then that you're working on a musical now. This is the Spice Girls musical, is it not?
Spice Girls musical. I knew it was going to happen, and my name had been put forward, and I said to my agent, "Oh no, I would really like to do that because they meant so much to my girls when they were growing up, and we were such massive Spice Girl fans that I just thought, I want them to go back and see this musical and enjoy the songs in the same way and have the same sense of joy that they had when they listened to the Spice Girls." So I did it really for them, and
yes.
And obviously for the money.
And how's it working out? How do you write a musical? What do you do?
I do know it's really complicated.
And are the
It's terrifying. It's actually terrifying.
And are the Spice Girls characters in it? Are you kind of writing stuff?
No, it's a different story. It's a story that uses the songs.
So it's a Mamma Mia-esque kind of thing?
Yes.
And how's that going now? Are you anywhere near finishing it? Or?
Yes, I've finished it just about. I think we've got a theatre and it'll open in December.
Woohoo! Hey, that's exciting. A clap! I'm so sad that our time's run out, so I'm going to have to say, Jennifer Saunders, thank you so much. It's been such a privilege.
Thank you. Thank you so much for asking me.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
That was Caitlin Moran talking to Jennifer Saunders. The producer was Carl Cooper, and that was the last in this series of Chain Reaction. You can listen to all the episodes from this and previous series on the BBC website.